The audience is advised that the following program involves themes which could be disturbing for some viewers.
Hello and welcome to Spotlight. Tonight I'm reporting from Nairobi, Kenya. We hear a lot about the artificial intelligence revolution, changing the way we live.
Hey, how can I assist you today?
From searching Google to finding a new recipe, writing a resume, getting driving instructions, or searching for friends on Facebook. It's all powered by AI. It's very clever and very convenient. But as we've discovered here, there's an appalling human cost to artificial intelligence. African workers who say they're being treated as modern-day slaves, exploited so our daily lives are made easier. And an Australian company could be the worst offender. These are the public faces of artificial intelligence. Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Sam Altman, the big tech men raking in billions from AI.
The thing that really has surprised me is the speed with which it's unfolded. To see $1 billion being spent on AI every day. And so it's arriving at a pace that is unprecedented. We've never seen a technology come into our lives so quickly.
Simply, AI is taking over the world. Computers thinking like humans with lightning speed, doing tasks and jobs that would normally need our time and intelligence. How do you see it having best impact on our lives?
Oh, that's easy. It is going to have a marvelous effect on our lives. It's going to allow us to live healthier, wealthier, longer lives. It's going to help us tackle all of the diseases. I can imagine a time in 20, 30, 40 years' time where we no longer have cancer. We've solved cancer.
Because of AI?
Because of AI.
AI saving lives? It sounds astonishing, but that's how fast it's all moving. But at what cost? The unseen, untold story of this AI revolution is the massive amount of cheap labour needed to shovel all the data into big tech's search engines. So companies like Meta, OpenAI, Microsoft and Google can claim our lives are being made better. Joan, Michael and Chi-Chi are that cheap labour, earning just cents a day. They call themselves data labellers. 15,000 kilometres from Silicon Valley, they're the workers crucial to AI, describing the real world so artificial intelligence knows what it's looking at.
AI, from my perspective, is like everything is like a human intelligence. It's just like they're putting the artificial to like sell it to the majority because we've been quiet for far too long.
You have been described as ghost workers.
Yeah.
The ghost workers of AI.
To them, it's a ghost worker, but I'm here. I'm not a ghost.
So you are the human face of artificial intelligence.
Exactly. If you say artificial intelligence, I would say you can please correct that and say African intelligence, because most of this work has been done here in Africa.
So not AI, artificial intelligence, it's African intelligence.
African intelligence.
Kenya is known as the Silicon Savannah, the critical link in the AI supply chain. That chain begins with countless tech companies, including the big players, who need a lot of human-sourced images and information to train their artificial intelligence. To do that, they contract data collection businesses. They then recruit an army of outsourced workers in poorer parts of the world. Thousands spend 8 hours a day working from home, drawing boxes around objects and labelling them so AI algorithms recognise them. So how does AI know for sure that that is a rhinoceros? You see, it's not just computer programs teaching computer programs to identify that that's a rhinoceros. In the very first place, it takes a human to look at the image or the vision and say for certain that that's a rhinoceros and not, for example, an elephant.
Categorization tasks, those are the easy tasks where you're supposed to maybe classify furniture, classify fruits, classify like different things.
But it's not just categorising everyday items. Medical scans have been assigned to Joan. She's had to describe and label the heart's arteries to help doctors diagnose patients.
And I have not trained medicine, or I never thought. Even when I was a kid, when people were being asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? It was nothing to do with medicine.
No. Shouldn't they have doctors and medical experts looking at these images to describe them properly?
We think the same too. And that is why I'm saying AI is not 100% correct, because we are the ones who are given this data.
Untrained workers labelling medical results should be deeply concerning. But other tasks are outright exploitation, labelling and describing explicit content. So AI can let the rest of us know that content is too disturbing to watch or read. One of Chi-Chi's tasks was cannibalism, asked to explain the taste of human flesh.
It was crazy because in the first place, you have never done this, you have never seen it. You can only imagine and put that content into this perspective. Well, it was paying good money then,
Yeah.
$12 per hour.
But $12 to describe what you think human flesh might taste like.
Yes. So you have to put yourself into that question for you to put the data in.
But you have to put yourself in the mindset of a cannibal
Yes.
to earn $12.
Yes.
But the examples get worse. I'm meeting AI worker Michael on the outskirts of Nairobi. Hey, Michael.
Yes, how are you?
I'm Michael.
Welcome, thank you. I'm Michael too.
Thanks for making some time.
Thank you too. Welcome.
I know you've got some stories to tell us, so it's good of you to make some time.
I have more than enough stories to give.
Yeah.
And today, be rest assured, you have all the information you need.
Okay. Heartbreaking family medical challenges led him to this work. One of his young sons suffered horrific burns. Then his other little boy got cancer.
10 days later, the kid tested positive for cancer of the lymphatic system. And the journey began of medication. I stayed in hospital for 4 months as the child went through chemo. And it was not an easy process.
Long stays in hospital, crippling medical bills of $20,000, unable to work normal hours. Working flexible hours from home in the exciting space of AI seemed like a perfect solution for Michael. So you took the projects because you had no option?
I had no option. That's how they took advantage of me at that time.
He started basic labelling, but needed more AI work. And it was offered, but the tasks took a dark turn.
That is when I came across another platform that offered me pornography work, where like you're given pornography videos and you're like supposed to put tags on them. So you're supposed to first of all put yourself in the minds of the 8 billion people on the face of the earth, and you're like, if someone is searching for this pornography, let's say in Australia, what tags are they supposed to search?
And I'd imagine the pornography had all sorts of extremes in it.
The things I saw I would never even want to talk about.
Right.
How do you label a 13-year-old?
13-year-old.
On a hardcore session.
So we're talking child pornography. This was assigned on a platform for you to label and identify.
It was not an easy thing for me. Sometimes I don't like talking about it.
I understand.
It still takes me back to the dark days of my life, and I've really tried to move out of it. In most cases, you're never told. It starts normally as any other project, but now along the way, that's when you start receiving one video.
So they're not honest about it in the first place?
They never tell you what is in the pipeline.
So it starts off as an innocent project, and then suddenly you're presented with hardcore...
You start experiencing that along the way. And now you see, if you're on that platform, they deactivate certain parts of the platform. You can't skip that task. So again, you have metrics that are supposed to meet.
So they've trapped you?
Yeah. So you can't skip the task because the skip button is inactive. So you have to do it. I really needed money. It really helped me big time. Yeah. I managed to settle at least half the loan that I had actually taken for medication. Yeah.
You must have felt terrible doing that.
It was extremely terrible.
After you work on these AI platforms, you are not the same. You do not view anything the same. You question everything. You see the world in another perspective, like the people themselves are not seeing. Changes your whole being. You just want to be alone.
To access this work, Joan and her colleagues sign up online. They're not told which company the job is for, and they're often paid just cents per task. What was the most you earned then, in a day?
I think 150 Kenya shillings.
That's about $1.50 a day.
40, 50 years ago, companies might have said, it's not our business. You know, in the sort of the mid-90s, when Nike was exposed of sort of bad working conditions in Vietnam, its response was, it's not our business, it's a contractor. Well, we've moved a long way from that now, and companies like Nike very clearly say the entire supply chain is our business and we have responsibility for it. And so the tech industry has to catch up. They have to understand that the world has changed.
Justine Nolan is the director of the Australian Human Rights Institute.
Sure, we recognise some of the big names of, you know, Meta, etc. But before you get to that point, there's a whole lot of software work being done that's a combination of tech and humans. And so it's easier, I think, for us to disassociate ourselves from that service supply chain, and not see that the mistakes of the past are being replicated.
It's high time people or the tech companies come to reality and understand. And I believe they honestly do know, because why every time they bring a new app or a product, they have to seek for human contribution in it. That means you cannot do AI without the human aspect in it.
Up next, we reveal the big Australian company with serious questions to answer. It looks like you're treating these people as modern-day slaves.
It'd be a cold day in hell before I worked for them again.
The damning lost video uncovered.
You can actually find them, pay them a tiny amount of money, and then get rid of them when you don't need them anymore.
Could these people change artificial intelligence forever?
That's why I'm speaking up.
And the revealing email we received just days before our broadcast. Can you provide evidence to the contrary? No answer. This is the lifeblood of Africa, and for a long time, tourism was its economic lifeline. But there's another industry here that is now in the spotlight. It's called the gig economy, and it's powered by short-term contracts and freelance workers. It's growing at about 20% a year. That is a staggering 80 million gig workers by the year 2032. And it's all driven by a big tech race to create artificial intelligence. And for most AI companies servicing the AI industry, that means a workforce logging on at intervals, sometimes mere minutes, at next to nothing.
So the core to this is being able to access a very large network of workers to scale on very short notice.
That network of workers comes very cheaply for Ryan Colm, the CEO of Australian AI data company Appen. Their business model is essentially based on that of Lucas Bewald, founding father of AI outsourcing, who sold his company to them.
Before the internet, it would be really difficult to find someone, sit them down for 10 minutes and get them to work for you, and then fire them after those 10 minutes. But with technology, you can actually find them, pay them a tiny amount of money, and then get rid of them when you don't need them anymore.
Hiring a worker to do a job, where you're paying 2 cents a piece and, you fire them 10 minutes later, to me, that's exploitation. That's, sort of not just flexibility.
Appen was an early starter in the AI industry, initially focused on voice recognition. These days, its focus is data collection, including photos and videos. Their clients have reportedly included Microsoft, Apple, Meta, Google, and Amazon. We know that Appen collects data and images from Kenya, but I've just been given an email that gives us a really good idea of how they pitch for that work. I'll read it out to you. Appen has an opportunity for you, a big exclamation mark. If you enjoy fun activities with your kids, this may be the right quick task for you. You can earn $20 in no more than 30 minutes from the comfort of your home in Kenya. We're looking for a short 3 to 20 second action shot videos of your children, 0 to 17 years old, they're requesting, young children, such as dancing, surprise actions, kicking the soccer ball, cartwheel, and example videos will be provided to you. This is Appen asking workers here to hand over vision of young kids playing. It seems innocent, but there's just something that also seems so inappropriate and so wrong about this.
Am I right in saying that you also received a request for an image of a 2 to 3 year old having a nappy changed?
Yes, he did. I was like, okay, you're now being intrusive into my space. A baby changing diaper, why? Where is it going?
You refused that request?
I refused. I never replied to those emails. I never did anything, and I never went back to the platform.
They tell us they want images of kids, let's say, between the age of 5 to 9, or they want grown-ups between the age of 29 to 60, or 60 and above.
So they're very specific about the sort of images they want?
Very specific.
Who do you photograph?
Your own children.
Did you feel comfortable about supplying images of your own children?
Sometimes it happens, it finds you in a wrong state financially. And sometimes you never have such, thoughts, and you submit the images because it's money you want.
But no matter the content, the task criteria seems tricky. Whole batches of work are often rejected for technical reasons. But instead of returning the work and requesting changes, the material is taken but not paid for.
They keep telling you they need more images, 100 never met, their requirements, and you need to submit more.
So how many images do you think you submitted in the end?
For the 4 years, I think I would say I've submitted more than 800 images.
800 images?
800 images, and I've never gotten a penny from Appen.
Not a penny?
Not even one.
Michael claims underpaying workers is common in Kenya.
So sometimes we ask ourselves, must we have the discrimination? Part of it surfacing everywhere in Africa. It doesn't have to go that way.
You say discrimination. Why do you think it is discrimination? Describe that.
First of all, we will need to understand why, if you go to the US, for example, for the same job I'm doing, we are maybe working on the same platform. The same job I'm doing, someone is being paid $50 per hour. I'm being paid 0.01 per task.
Hang on, 0.01, you're saying 1 cent?
0.01.
1 cent.
Exactly. And I have emails to prove that.
Michael says he's given up on the idea of being paid. Now he wants the images back.
I would really appreciate very much if they return pictures of my own kids, my own wife, my own pictures, my mother's pictures.
we found an endless list of complaints about this $500 million company. Payment is the central issue.
We take this matter very seriously, and it's been an important part of our business for a really long time. We codified this in 2019 in something that we call our Crowd Code of Ethics, which has the following principles. So the first is fair pay. So we make sure that we pay above minimum wage in every jurisdiction that we work with around the globe.
Does he know there's operations in Kenya? Because whatever it is he's saying there, I think that does not relate to the situation on the ground here.
Chi-Chi spent 6 months working on every Appen project available to her. She made just $2, which she couldn't access. The payment platform Appen made her use had a $10 minimum withdrawal.
Do you feel exploited?
Yes, I do. Because for those 6 months I was committed to this project, I was exploited. I never got a dime out of it. Yes, I had $2. Bravo.
$2 you couldn't withdraw?
I didn't withdraw it.
During the course of our investigation, we've spoken with a number of former senior Appen staff, and one told us that at the beginning it was a terrific time. They could pay well and the work was good quality. But from there, over 20 years, they say it was a race to the bottom, and for workers here in Kenya, it's become abusive. Coming up, we track down the boss of Appen. Michael Usher from 7 News Spotlight, how are you? Our investigation goes global.
In the worst case, it could also be classified as modern slavery.
How this group plans to change artificial intelligence forever.
And that is why I'm not covering my face.
And the revealing email sparked by our investigation.
Well, that's not true up front at all.
A few weeks into our investigation, I'd heard so many horrific stories from people training AI. I wondered how companies, including Appen, support the mental health of their workers. I've been sent an email from a gentleman called Ed Stackhouse, who worked for Appen for 10 years. He's a father of 3, married for 30 years. He's based in the United States. Now, Ed was apparently a star worker for Appen, and he has some information that he'd like to share with us. Let's get him up now. Ed, really good to talk to you today. Thank you.
My pleasure. I'm glad to help.
Do you believe that you were exploited as a worker by Appen?
Absolutely. I believe I was exploited by Appen. Appen took advantage of the fact that most of the people taking the job are either single moms or dads or disabled and can't get out there and work anymore. Like me, for example, I have some health issues, and the best I can do is work like this from home. And Appen absolutely took advantage of that.
Ed worked with Appen for more than a decade. He was mostly rating the content, training Google's AI product.
So basically, Appen is the slave to Google, and we were the slave to Appen.
Ed says he was initially paid little more than a fast food worker, a paltry wage to flag disturbing content on the internet so we don't have to see it.
The worst of it was, and this bothered me the most, was suicide forums. So we would get suicide forums as part of the results. This would be like, I need to know how much I need for this, for to myself, from a certain, without being able to, so on and so forth. Can you help me do this? And it was just heartbreaking because you can't reach out to the person because you've got to act as if you were never there. You don't leave any footprints. You're just an observer, basically. And then after seeing loads of them, then you step back and go, my God.
Ed, did Appen help you in any way, psychologically, support-wise, in having to view all of this terrible material?
So they offered basically 3 therapy sessions a year free of charge. That was it.
3 sessions, is that enough to unsee some of the terrible material that you've had to score and analyse?
Nothing's enough to unsee some of this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we're outsourcing things that we would find offensive and harmful to other people who are not being paid and don't have the working conditions either. You know, so we should be doing something for these people to help them through the trauma and so on that these issues have, and we should be paying them appropriately.
What question would you put to the CEO of Appen?
Well, I'd say, is exploitation really the best business model? Can you expect to get good quality work through exploitation? It'd be a cold day in hell before I work for them again.
From Colombia, Oscarina is another long-time Appen worker.
So just to get $1, we need to work for over an hour.
Calling on Appen for more support financially and mentally.
I don't feel that they consider me important at all. There are actually thousands of us that are working as ghosts of artificial intelligence.
The ghost workers of AI.
That's right.
It's a very simple question, but is it hurtful to be considered a ghost worker of AI?
It is, of course. I'm affected and it hurts.
But it's not just the frontline workers raising an alarm. Oxford University also has Appen in its sights. Every year, it scores the working conditions of cloud work companies, and Appen manages just 3 out of 10. After speaking with Ed and Oscarina, it is clear that they love being part of the AI revolution. But they're being exploited. They are the very definition of ghost workers, a secret that the big AI companies just don't want exposed. But given the billions that they're making, surely they can do better. Up next, we track down the boss of Appen. I know that's your policy, but in truth, that's not true at all. Why this man has companies including Appen in his sights.
The rest of the world has started to move much more strongly. We're lagging behind.
Could these workers change AI forever?
That's why I'm speaking up.
And the revealing email we received just days before our show went to air. Can you provide evidence to the contrary? No answer. It's Friday morning in Sydney. Appen's management and shareholders are gathering for the annual general meeting. CEO Ryan Colm was the star of the show. Is that him? Yeah. It is? We'd been asking for an interview for weeks, especially after workers made serious claims of modern-day slavery. All right, I'm going to go. Do you think the conditions that you've had to work with would be defined as modern slavery?
A big yes, for the following reasons. One, if you want me to work for you, please pay me.
It's modern day slavery in form of AI.
Like all big companies in Australia, Appen has signed up to what's called the Modern Slavery Act. Every year, they have to report how they're preventing modern slavery risks. When a company like Appen, for example, has publicly committed to, it says, preventing modern slavery and human trafficking within its business operations and supply chain through what it calls its Global Ethical Sourcing and Modern Slavery Policy.
Great words.
They're just words?
Well, for many companies, sadly, it is. The easier path is to make a statement and then year to year say, we're still working on it, but actually not offer indicators of how you're improving and what you're doing to address it.
Monash University has given Appen an E rating in 2020, and since then they say there's no evidence of an improved understanding of modern slavery risks.
Certainly their report is more aspirational than anything else.
So it's a goodwill statement.
Well, there's a lot of fine sentiments and talk about moving to more due diligence in the system, but when I read the reports, they've been promising that for a couple of years. I mean, they're by no means the worst, but they certainly are not meeting best practice as compared to many other Australian companies.
Chris Evans is the Anti-Slavery Commissioner. Even he says the Act doesn't go far enough for all companies, including Appen. In regards to the slavery policy, am I right in saying that Appen can state that to its shareholders and users, but not actually prove that it's not using slavery in its supply chain?
That's right.
That's a major problem, isn't it? So you can say it in a company statement, but not really have to back it up or mean it.
That's right, and that's one of the weaknesses of the legislation. The rest of the world has started to move much more strongly. We're lagging behind, and I and a lot of people will be very keen to see mandatory due diligence introduced, which will put much higher requirements, much tougher standards on companies to address the issue seriously within their supply chains.
Companies shouldn't be focused on improving a workplace just because it is slavery. If it's a bad workplace, if workers are being treated and exploited, companies have to get in there and have a look at that as well. And so, yes, in the worst case, it could also be classified as modern slavery, but there's a whole lot of things that happen before that where companies need to get involved and not turn a blind eye. As Appen CEO Ryan Coln made his way to the AGM, it was an opportunity to ask some questions and, importantly, make good on a promise.
We haven't established our offices yet.
When we were in Africa a few days earlier, Joan, Michael and Chi-Chi asked us to pass on these messages to him.
I know you don't know anything about me, Ryan, but I have interacted with content from your company, which is Appen, and some of the content that I've interacted with don't sit well with me as a person.
I'm not proud of you for who you are. I'm not proud of what has been happening under your watch.
We are sleeping less hours a day to make sure if we are given a project that it works perfectly. But however, our question is, or my question is, how do you take care of us? Yes, we are continents away, but again, I am a human. We share one thing in common, that we are breathing.
All right, I'm going to go. Michael Usher from 7 News Spotlight, how are you? Your work is in Kenya. How do you believe you're treating them?
So we have a crowd code of ethics in the business that we adhere to. We pay people above minimum wage in every place that we work with. We have crowd conditions that we treat very carefully. So I think we're treating them quite fairly.
I know that's your policy, but in truth, that's not true at all. Okay. The workers that I've been and spoken to in Kenya, and I have their evidence here, their testimonials that they would like you to listen to. It's on a USB stick, if you could take that.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Thank you. One worker told me she worked for 6 months and earned $2 and couldn't even withdraw her $2 from the payment platform that you have. They're going one step further, in fact, and saying that they're being treated like modern-day slaves. How do you respond to that?
Well, like I said, we have our crowd code of ethics. We do constant.
Yeah, that's the policy, though. But that's the policy, but it's not true.
Well, we do constant reviews of how we're paying people.
Seemingly innocent things, but it doesn't seem appropriate. Okay. Young girls doing cartwheels. Direct requests to Kenyan workers to say, give us images of newborns to 17-year-olds, girls playing. Right. Why would you be asking them that?
So we support the development of AI models, and our customers are building a lot of image recognition models that support a wide variety of things, and this sometimes comes with very strange data requests.
Yeah.
So it's to support the development of AI. It's proprietary data. It's completely opt-in for the folks, so we're not forcing anyone to participate.
What happens to those images?
So it's used to build image recognition models and other AI applications that we all use on a day-to-day basis. So it's part of the AI ecosystem.
They believe that they're being treated very unethically, particularly by Appen. They name Appen a lot as being a poor operator.
Okay.
What do you say to that?
Well, coming back to we want to collect a variety of diversity of data in our workforce. The AI models need to work.
But that comes at a human cost. That comes at a human
cost. That's right,
cost.
and that's the AI industry. The human data annotation is a really important part of the industry. So thank you for...
In the envelope we gave Ryan Colm, along with the messages, was another invitation for an interview. He also told us he'd supply his personal details so we could follow up the allegations with him.
Yeah, you can contact me directly. I'll share my details.
It's been a month. We're still waiting for those details. Up next, why these workers in Kenya could change artificial intelligence forever.
That's why I'm speaking up.
And the email that reveals what Appen really thinks about workers in Kenya.
I'm going to open up now and read that. We've been waiting for Appen's formal reply. We sent them 23 very specific questions about the concerns raised in this story. Now, they have finally emailed back. They made generic statements claiming to pay above minimum wage and seeking consent for photos, but pressed for examples, Appen did not provide. 17 of our 23 questions were not answered. Let me go back through the questions that we put to Appen, the ones that I believe that they haven't addressed in their statement to us. Kenyan workers have been asked to provide photos of minors. What specifically are those photos being used for? No answer. What is required to show specific consent from people featured in images? No specific answer to that. Why don't you pay workers for the data collected during the training process? No answer. We provided the CEO, Ryan, with the messages from workers in Kenya. Has he viewed that? No answer. What is Mr. Khan's response to those messages? No answer. Are you exploiting workers in Kenya? No answer. Are you guilty of modern slavery? No answer. Can you provide evidence to the contrary? No answer. And then there's another 5 questions that they just didn't answer at all. So in key areas, Appen has just not answered the specific questions.
Are cracked like desert.
For many of us, artificial intelligence has become an essential part of our lives. For those in Kenya, it's become an essential part of their livelihoods. Chichi, Joan and Michael have now combined with other workers in Kenya and started the Data Labellers Association. They hope to create ethical AI. Better pay and mental health support would be a great starting point. On top of that, perhaps all of us, the AI users, can take a moment to think about them next time we start typing a question.
That's why I'm speaking up.
Bound by labor, drowned in pain.
And that is why I'm not covering my face. Like some people will tell you to, hide my face, distort my voice. No. I want to tell them in their faces.
Bosses stare with hollow eyes, counting coins as the worker.
I think it's high time the investors, they need to go into the depth of following up with this data coming from.
Exploited.
We will ensure they do the right thing in the entire continent. We are going to make sure that here in Africa, things are done the right way.
To read Appen's full response to the allegations made in this program, you can head to our website. And for more on this story, keep across our socials. I'm Michael Usher. Thanks so much for your company, and good night from Kenya.